Morning guys, so welcome back to Marko at Kustoms again. So in theory in the last video we panel beaded and etched that. There was a couple of little marks in it that I spotted after I etched it, so I've just hammered them out. So what I'm going to do now is actually reassemble it, put all the screws in here because there was only 2 in it, find some little nuts and bolts, whatever, and put it together properly and retest this thing and just see what it sounds like now that I've given the motor a bit of a clean up and lube and whatever, blowing all the crap out of here and just see what it sounds like, see if we can get a decent tune out of it, I guess. Maybe adjust the back of it and sort of tune it in before we give it a lick of paint, I guess. And go from there. Right, so I've got this screwed together. I've got I originally had a gasket each side of that diaphragm, I guess you'd call it. I haven't done any of that. So I just want to test it with that, without that, just to see if it works okay, and if not, I'll make gaskets for that, and then we'll try it again, if you know what I mean, see if we can get a decent noise out of it. I just want to make sure it is actually going to make a proper noise, not make weird noises or anything like that. Make sure it is actually going to work properly. Right, let's see. That's long, is it? Might be too tight. Without the gaskets now might be too tight. Make some gaskets on there. Right, so I've made a couple of gaskets. Here's the centres. I've just laid the second one over here. So we can make a bit of bracket in that. Right. maybe it's just how things it seems. What you need, a bit of lube. Does it make any difference which way you hook it up? Doesn't seem to. Seems to work fine. Just needs a bit of lube in there, son. Works quite well. So we'll let it. Oh. That's good. Yeah, just need a little bit of lubrication. The old shaft there. To run a bit nicer. Now, well. Go with it then. Right, so I've got a couple of coats on here. I will obviously get some. You cheeky little bugger. I'll get some proper little screws and bits and pieces for it at some point. But yeah, we'll just give it a coat of black, and then I'll obviously pull it off, and I'll try and clean up that little label and put it back on there, which should be over here still. And then, yeah, I am really scratching my head what I'm going to muck around with next. I've got to clean up the other brackets and stuff for the fuel thing. I can tidy them up, but I am really starting to run out of shit to do. Got this number plate bracket here, which I assume might be off that number plate tail light. I'm thinking might have been off here. I'm not 100% sure. So yeah, just trying to look at a couple of things. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm guessing that might have been off this. Actually, it's something else I've still got to look at. So yeah, I've still got those things to give a bit more clean up in there. And I want that little, where's that little thing? What did I do with that the other day? I set that here somewhere. Oh, there. We'll give that a clean up, and we'll try, just try and tidy it up a little bit so we can put that back on. That horn. Cut that back over here. But yeah, we are sort of coming to a, I wouldn't say complete halt, but you know what I mean? I'm kind of at the point with a couple of more things to start, just prep some of this last stuff for a coat of paint, really. What else have I got to do here? I know I've got a tail. I've got a tail light here somewhere. I don't really know. Yeah, this is. I think this is a Studebaker tail light, but I think it's pretty hammered. I was trying to see what else. Oh, the carburetor, I got to put that together. don't know what I'm going to do with that. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. So it's pretty sure it's the only tail light we've got. I think worst comes to worst, just order a couple Model A ones. That's what a lot of people seem to have on the back of them. From photos, I think. Because that is pretty hammered. I knew it was pretty hammered, so that's why I hadn't done much with it. So yeah, I've got those few bits and pieces and brackets just to do a final clean up on. And give that another couple of coats of black. Just rattle can stuff. That I'll paint with proper 2-pack because it'll stand up to fuel a bit better. If it happens to weep or leak or something at some point, if you know what I mean. It just means if something like that does happen, it's just the paint won't come off it so easy. These I want to paint with proper 2-pack. Oh, the other thing I could do is I could start making one of side cuts, but yeah, I need to put that top up, and I need to get something. I need to go find some seatbelt webbing to put between the bows. These are all things I've talked about before. Like that grill to cow bar needs painted. I'm not sure. I don't know whether I'll paint it with just rattle can or whether I'll paint it with 2-pack. It's a pin for hood sides. Steering rack, I want to paint that with 2-pack just because it'll take a bit more of a hammering. We're going to be painted with 2-pack, that's going to be painted with 2-pack, they're going to be painted with 2-pack. Actually should write myself a little list what I want gloss, what I want semi-gloss. That'll be semi, they'll be gloss. I think they'll be gloss. They'll be gloss. Probably just do that semi. That semi. These break right up. I think I'll just, for all it is, I think I'll just paint it and just rattle can. It's one of those things, if it looks a bit shabby underneath, you can just whip the pins out of it, take it out and spray it with a bit more rattle can or something at some point. For all it's going to be on the road type thing. But well, so I've got that little bit of brake stuff. I really need the back wheels back to sort that stuff out. The brake stuff, I might use a little bit of that heat paint off the just the bits and pieces, the fittings and stuff. Not that I'm probably going to be terribly hot, but I might just flick them with a little bit of that manifold black, because I'll just take the heat a little bit better. For the few little bits and pieces they are, just in amongst that area, a little bit of heat paint won't hurt in there. I've still got plenty of that too. That's mainly some of these bits and pieces. These to sort out for that. There's just odds and ends, but a lot of it can be done while we're assembling stuff on the car. Some of it, you know what I mean? Because we can jiggle and wiggle it around a little bit. Right, I'll have a bit more of a scout around to see what else does need to be sorted. Cheeky little bird. Alrighty, I'm just actually having a look at this. I'm trying to pull it apart. I'm going to have a decent look. I wonder if I can actually make that bezel. I know it's a big ask, but maybe with a little bit of perseverance and a little bit of wood together and make a little bit, I could actually make it try and make a replica of the base. Just add a bit of wood. Like I'm only talking like this much, so I can shape it out of a bit of wood or something first. So I've got something to hammer around, and then maybe use this like a bit heavier gauge aluminium, if that's what this is, and see if I can remake that thing. I don't know. The glass isn't perfect, but it's okay. No, I'll just see if I can get it apart, but it's very corroded on there. I'm just trying to see if I can get it off. And then I can clean the rest of it up and see if it's worth persevering to try and maybe make the outer cover, if you know what I mean? Bezel. Let's see. Because apparently I like a challenge. It's quite a big challenge. Like that little thing is easy to make, but yeah, I don't know about this one. Well, we can only try. No, even if it's not the best, even if it's half reasonable, and then we can, if we come across a good one, we better swap it out, you know what I mean? But we'll see. This is just going to fall to pieces. I can see it trying to get it off. I was hoping it might have just come off, but it's actually so corroded on there. I don't know if I'm going to get it off in one piece. What's left of it, if you know what I mean. It'd be nice if I could. To try and mimic that shape. But we'll see. Oh, see it's in behind there. Isn't that cool? Studebaker stop. So yeah, I just basically pried this up and try and get the lenses out of it. They're a little bit broken, they're okay, kinda. I'm gonna try and slowly see if I can get this apart, and then we'll go from there, I guess. Well, we're making some progress. We got that off. I actually think, I don't know, I don't think that's meant to be part of that, but at the moment it is. But, so, that reflected in there looks quite good, which is good. That supposed to be the length of the tail light. So yeah, it's just a matter of trying to get the stuff cleaned up and paint it and whatever, and hopefully we can get it apart safely, if you know what I mean. Right, so you might have to put some new light bulb holders on these ones. These ones are pretty just falling apart, and that one's non-existent. But it's something we can work around. I'm sure I can find some new. I know these things are sort of available new, and we can retrofit that into there or whatever. We can work around that. we can work that out. I'd like to get this off if I can and clean that up. Yeah, so it's been sort of like a little rivet. I wouldn't say rivet, but you know what I mean. It's only held on by those two little pinned over things, so we can get that off there and we can just put some little screws or something in there in the end. So that's okay. So that's how that works. Okay. So it works in two contacts, so they actually push on the backs of that. Oh, so maybe it's not falling apart, it's just a weird way of making that. We might be able to make that a better system. It's obviously meant to have a clip that plugs on there to plug into it, and then we might be able to put some better sockets in there and just have like a cable come out of there. Something a wee bit more slightly modern that we can hide away going through the tube. Yeah, we'll work on. We might have to do a little bit of modification to this. But first things first, before we screw around too much with that, we need to see whether we can do something with this. Or at least work out what we're going to do here. Alright, so we get this off. Right, everybody. So, stop looking around. So, this is a plan so far. So, I got this off. The bezel off. And I got a bit of the timber we've been using for the woodwork in this car. So I made that. I've glued that together with that construction adhesive. And I've actually cut I found the rough centre of this, cut a round piece out. I've glued it on here, but I've also glued this old bearing shell on there, tapered bearing shell. So this here is like jammed in against that with this screw. I slightly tapered this. I jammed it on there with a screw, and I've obviously got the wood glue on around it. And it's actually coming up in between there. So hopefully I can hold that in Dad's lathe and put a steady in this side, so it shouldn't fly out. It's not turning that fast anyway. And then I might be able to trim this down, and we'll make this contour on here, so I can, when I get the piece of aluminium sorted, we can make that shape. And I will also, when I'm doing this, I'm not going to be able to cut these shapes in here, but I will be able to face off and try and create this little overround step. I'm hoping if I be gentle and work things out and just take time, I should be able to create all that shape. So when I come along to hopefully dial all this in, and as long as this is fairly hard, I should be okay. If I need to make it, obviously we'll clean a lot of this crap off here when I put it in lathe, so it's not flicking around anywhere. But by the time I'll go to do that after lunch, it should be hard enough that I can spin it and not have too many issues. That screw's fairly long. It mightn't quite go through to this one, but it'll be close. And with a steady there, it'll hold it. You know, it'd be good enough to do what I need to do. And I'll just turn it down on the steel lathe and we can clean it up and sand it up and whatever, and see if I can get a reasonable result. You know, it's, at the end of the day, it's only to make that shape and bring that into the air. And then after that, I will see what I can do to carve that out. I don't know, I might even go to some of the wood once I get this made, I might go down to even some of the wood guys and see if they can maybe router that in, you know, just with a little bit of depth into this afterwards. Just see how we get on. But I'll make that shape first and bring that down a little bit. You know, we might be able to router that shape into there. Righty. So, we're at the Mopar workshop, the old man. So we'll get this set up in the old metalwork lathe here, and we'll turn some wood. Hey, whatever works, eh? Whatever works. Sometimes. I think we're pretty close. It's about the same sort of distance away from what that one is. Possibly could have made it a sneak bigger, but this has probably been forced out too with all the build up it had in behind it. If you look at the gap through there, like that's probably closer, I guess. So I think we've got a, this is a fairly good start to get our shape, and then we can probably work from there. You know, worst comes to worst. Hopefully. I'm half tempted to go around to one of the, there's a joiner here in town and just see whether they can, whether they could router that out. Or something like that. So I can shape that. Diesel over top. Very tempted. I might go around and see them. Just see what it would take to get it done. Because I don't have anything like that. And they might better, I don't know whether they might better plot that, if you know what I mean. And get it to come in there, and hopefully they can get it to miss this edge and come right up to it. Because I assume that's probably what it was like. I don't know, it's missing, so you know what I mean. But I'm guessing that's what happens. And we just start hammering it over once we get a bit of aluminum. We'll just start making the bezel and see if we can make it fit on there afterwards. You know what I mean? I wonder if I should, let's see, I wonder if I should just put the depth in here too. Just dig this in and make a depth so I know when I've come to the full depth, and I might actually better hammer it around there and then knock that off. It's probably not silly idea. Good thinking, 99. I know how many years remember what that's off. God, it makes me feel fucking old. Some of the younger ones probably might know, but yeah, we'll turn this down a bit. We'll take a, I don't know, quarter of an inch out of there or something, just so we know that's where the hard edge is. Good plan, good plan, good plan. So yeah, I try to do it here, but I just end up not quite in the right place. So I've already done it here, just on the opposite side, it's not going to matter much. I think that'll do. I could possibly just go a sneak bigger, but I think we'll work with that. I wouldn't mind just a little bit deeper if I can get it. I'll try and see if I can get myself a little bit deeper in there. Just a bit more out. It'd be nice. Doesn't have to be, but it'd be nice if I can just get a little bit more depth in there. And then we can work on the other bit. Not quite sure what I'm going to do there. I know I can probably take quite a chunk of it out with a mill, but it's to get the clean finish around the edge of it, if you know what I mean. I'd better get rid of a lot of it with a mill. I'll see if I can get that a little bit deeper with the old hand drill. You could possibly get it done with these, but there's just the centre drill doesn't run very straight either, which doesn't help. So that's why I went to the old adjustable hand drill. It's got an adjustable blade so you can move it in and out to whatever width you want. Out to, I Not sure. Goes out a few way. A couple of inches at least anyway. Might be, maybe 2.5, a good 2.5 inches in diameter that a cutter will go to, which is quite handy. So you can do any frickin' size you want. That worked out good for that. It's just this piece now. Anyway, we'll come back to you. Right, morning guys. So, I think what I'm going to try and do now is take the bulk of this wood out and shade it in the area. With the mill, I'll set this up on that vise, clamp it on here obviously, and just try and clean out the bulk of this down about the same depth as this piece. And we'll just go from there, and then we'll start chipping away at the edges once I've sort of got a fair chunk of it cleaned out, if you know what I mean. We'll get as close as we can to the edges, and just do it by hand. And then later on, I think what I'll do is I'll try and make some pieces to push in there close to that size if I can. Yeah, we'll work through it. We'll find something. I might just go back to mum and dad's and find a hole saw that's close to that sort of size of it. I'll just freehand it and whatever, you know what I mean? Drill a hole in something and cut it and then just shape it down or even. Let me see. That there might be alright. The centrepiece of that might be close enough, and then if I have to, I can just shave a little bit down. You know, put a bolt through it or something like that and just shave it down on the sand or something, if it's just to get a sort of a loosest fit to obviously allow material to go in there. And I obviously want to take the edges off this little piece. You know, we'll sand all this up so the edges are slightly rounded, a bit like the original sort of thing, and hopefully we can get a decent result when we go to push all this stuff in there. Yeah, because I don't want to push it in there terribly far. If we don't push it in a long way, we'll get quite a nice result, I think. You know, as long as we can push it in there fairly solidly. And I think I'll try and do the same thing with the outside. We'll try and make a ring to go around that somehow, something close anyway, to at least pull it down over. We'll work on that. In theory, if we can pull something over that, it will form the bulk of that shape, and then we just might have to gently hammer the rest of it in. Anyway, I'll set the piece of crap up and we'll see how we get on. Righty, I don't think that'd be too hard to clean up. I did chip a little piece out of there, which is must have been a little knot or something. I have to put a little bit of body filler or something in there, which is fine. So yeah, I think this should be reasonably easy to clean up in here, and we can get a reasonable edge out of it. I don't know if I really need to go in there with one of those smaller bits. I possibly could into the corners, maybe, just to nick into these edges. So yeah, but I think we're getting there. Maybe I could just go in there with that smaller one and just go a little bit deeper into those things and just gently go around it. Maybe. We'll see. I might throw the small one in there and just try and get into the corners a little bit better and just maybe get rid of it, more of the black off here. Right. We'll start cleaning up by hand. I just gave that a bit of a, since I know that the cutter didn't cut it very flat in the bottom, I did just try to clean up the worst of the bottom. So it was just a bit more flat if we try to push something into there. Right. I think we'll start with a bit of, probably a bit of 80 or something, just to try and clean up the roughness around here. We'll get it roughed in and then mix up a little bit of something to put in there. So, turn down with this in the bounce handle. So I think that'll be fine to push in there, so that's cool. Right, one tool to do that. Now we need to make something to push in there. In theory, if we make it out of the same piece of timber, to be the same height, and we might better just push them both at the same time. You know what I mean? How many millions of miles away are we now? This. So it's not going to take a lot of dressing. Probably more on the inside edge than the outside edge, basically. But I think one of those little drum rolls, actually, the edge of the belt sander might work. Okay, so that's what we look over here. So going to put in that radius. Oh, it's pretty close. Right, it fits, but it's tight in spots. So anywhere I put a black mark on is where it's borderline or too tight, if you know what I mean. So it's too tight across that edge. Still a bit tight through here. So yeah, these are the places where I sort of need to just shave a bit more off. You know, if I can make sure those marks are gone in those spots. We should be pretty close, if you know what I mean. So we'll do a little bit more shaving off. Righty, so I'm just contemplating on how I'm going to do this. And I'm just wondering, again, should I make it so I can turn it in the lathe and machine this shape, rough shape, into this bit of timber, so glue 2 or 3 bits together.
5 minutes later.
Right, let's pull this crap off and see if it stays together. And then we'll go attack it on a lathe. Right, let's go and make a hole in there. I think what I may do when I get back is I might actually turn the outside off this a bit and make it a steel strap up, but then put round it and split it and just put a well, a couple of nuts to it and put a bolt through, if you know what I mean, to clamp it together, just in case this wants to split on me. Alright guys, so we're back here again, so we'll throw this in the lathe. Hopefully everything's nice and secure like it was last time, and we'll get chewing out the inside. Hopefully this works. Hopefully I can get out into that outer bearing. This one. That should be alright. Oh, sweet.
Audio Jungle.
Righty, so, back to bugger off, I'm going to put a quick clean up before I do, but I did this last piece off camera because I wasn't really sure how it was going to work. What I did is I got this bit of 60 grit, and it wasn't really ideal, but I clamped it on here and just turned it on slowly and just gently pushed this into here. I know it's not ideal and it's not really, I wouldn't recommend doing it, but just to try and bed the two together to make this match that and vice versa, yeah. Get it reasonably close. I machined it roughly close, but to try and make it a reasonably nice match, that's what I did. I just pushed the 60 in against there. No, not turning that fast. I'm trying to use both hands to just hold it, and it's not really ideal. I wouldn't recommend it. So basically I just held it like that and just slowly pressed it into the, this is spinning at a lower rev, and just try to work it backwards and forwards so it was pressing in around the paper. And then I switched to a bit of 100 and then a bit of 240 just to smooth it out, and just to try and take any high spots off that didn't really match. That's why I went aggressive with the 60 for a start off, just to try and sort of rip it in, I guess you would call it, like spinning. And I took a little bit more off this face, so it's pretty close. By the time I get a little bit of metal in between and we get that pressed down, it'll be pretty close to that height, you know what I mean? And then we can, maybe when it's even pressed in, I can maybe cut it off, cut the excess off, possibly. So now what I want to do, I'm going to shoot back to the other workshop. We've still got about an hour left, I think, roughly. I want to try and make it so we can fit these here into that, and I'm probably going to have to cut these down to about half, I think. It's going to be too much to try and mill that way back into that. So I think what I'm going to try and do, but I think I'm probably going to have to take this off the back. I might just have to cut this off somehow, and drill these holes right through, so then I can sit that in there like that, hold it tight with a clamp and drill those holes so we can line them up with that, and then mark around where I want to clean out, so we can sit this, well, yeah, sit these in here and then trim them down so they will press into that, because I can't see me freaking taking I don't know what sort of depth I've got in there. Not a lot, not a huge amount, a few mil, I don't know, maybe 1/4 of an inch sort of type thing. So yeah, I can't see me, you know, carving that much into that. If we cut it down to about half or 3/4, I can soon probably clean that out roughly into that, and then hopefully we can push the two together somehow, because I don't want this to break either when it's getting pushed in there. You know, if it flicks and whatever, I'll glue it into this once I've got it carved out, in theory. Or it's either we push this into that first and then push these in after. I just think it would be nicer if you can push them in together. Because I may even make some little something. I might even drill some holes in that and poke a couple of those small rivets, like metal rivets, in there, into that, in the right position, so they come in and push into these spots too, so we get that nice dimple, like in here, where it's sort of dimpled in. But I could probably just have those holes there, have the holes pre-drilled, and just come along with a punch tool and just punch it in. But I'm planning on making a couple. If it turns out really good, I'm going to make a few. I might try and see if anybody wants them. We'll see. We'll see. But anyway, we'll clean up here and we'll bugger off. We're getting quite a mess the last couple of days.
Welcome to Iron Outlaws. Stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss this.